Have you ever found an MMO that you just, upon first inspection, it just looks so freaking good that you instantly download it, you install it, you boot it up, and then you take a look around and there's just no one playing it? Yeah, I feel like we all have. Finding MMOs that people actually play can be really difficult. And honestly, that is what we're here today to remedy. Today, we are going to cover the 10 most populated MMORPGs as of July 2021. 10 MMOs that you can log in right now, begin playing, and find an abundance of different players to actually play with. Now, the 10 MMOs in this list are in no way the 10 best MMOs. So please, before you go ahead and start complaining, do not misconstrue the purpose of this video. Now, before we go any further, I am going to be giving away a copy of any MMORPG you guys want. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, The Elder Scrolls Online. Maybe you want one of Lost Ark's new Founders Packs. Either way, you pick one, I'll send it to you. All you need to do to participate is be actively subscribed to this channel. So make sure you scroll down and click that subscribe button. If you are not, this giveaway, like all giveaways, are only for subscribers of our channel, and I can see if you are not subscribed. Then go down into the comment section below and leave a comment stating what the best MMORPG experience you have ever had is. When you got a world first boss clear, when you got an epic piece of legendary gear, when you met one of your best friends or your partner. I'll choose a winner and I will go ahead and announce it over on Twitter. And finally, did you know that we stream on Twitch every single week? We do giveaways like this all the time. We stream new MMOs, we stream old MMOs every single Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday at roughly 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead here and talk games. At number 10 is Fantasy Star Online 2. This is a hub-based action combat anime MMO. It's also the only MMO of its type in this list, as unlike most MMOs that offer a large open world to explore, PSO2 utilizes a central hub, having players spend the bulk of their time aboard their space station taking and completing missions, upgrading gear, participating in minigames. This is a game that provides players quite an interesting way of tackling combat. Instead of equipping and utilizing a single weapon, in PSO2 you get 3 different weapon slots and have the ability to alternate between which one you're actively using at any given time. This provides a lot of customization and freedom to play how you want, and is honestly something that I feel a lot of MMOs should take note of. Again, this is an anime MMO, and I'm aware that they definitely do not appeal to everyone aesthetically, so do take note of that. PSO2 averages tens of thousands of active players per month. At number 9 is Lost Ark. This game is arguably the most anticipated MMO of 2021. It has probably been the most anticipated MMO of the last several years, and there is really no denying why that is. Lost Ark, much like PSO2, is the only type of MMO like this included. It isn't a hub-based MMO like PSO2, but rather is a top-down isometric MMO. You play from a completely different perspective than what players are used to, something more akin to Diablo or Path of Exile, and that helps set the game apart. And while the game provides players quite a large selection of different classes to choose between, each with different paths they can proceed down for additional customization, it's in its own combat that Lost Ark really shines. This game has some of the most fluid combat animations that I have ever had the pleasure of experiencing. Add on to that its stunning graphics, its world, both on the land and the sea. Lost Ark offers more of the world to explore than almost any other MMO out there. When this launches in a couple months, this is going to absolutely dominate the free MMO market. Lost Ark has hundreds of thousands of active players monthly in South Korea, and had tens of thousands of players playing it any given minute during its latest Western test phase. At number 8 is Guild Wars 2. Yes, this used to be in the top 5, but with its content drought, it is to be expected. But just because it's at number 8 does not mean that there aren't still quite a number of players playing it. Quite the contrary. Guild Wars 2 has well over 100,000 players still logging in and playing the game every month, which is quite a substantial sum of loyal players given the last expansion for the game was released all the way back in 2017. Guild Wars 2 is a fully fleshed out, narrative-driven hybrid action combat MMORPG with a very large focus on exploration. It also has some of the most unique leveling that I've ever experienced, with players taking advantage of dynamic quests, a plethora of exploration options, and more variety than we're typically given to level with. You're given the option of toggling between 2 different types of weapons, with each weapon altering some of your active abilities, meaning a one-handed sword and shield will provide different abilities to a one-handed sword and mace or a mace and shield. This provides a lot of customization of your character, something that many MMOs just do not concern themselves with. At number 7, we have PSO2 New Genesis, and I know what you're thinking, wait, isn't that the same thing as PSO2? And no, it definitely is not. While they are no doubt connected, they are in no way the same game. Where PSO2 is a hub-based mission MMO, having you move between your hub and instance missions, New Genesis provides you a much larger open world, segregated of course, but still large, open, and filled with plenty of players to both see out in each zone, to party with, and play with. It also has what is arguably the best action combat in an anime MMO. My abilities are absolutely stunning, and the world itself is probably the best looking anime-inspired world that I have ever seen. No joke, if PSO2 New Genesis has anything at all going for it, it is how gorgeous it is. The one issue that I've come across is that right now it's still fairly void of substance, with players repetitiously grinding the same highly limited selection of content for the next few months. By the end of the year, New Genesis should have quite a bit to do, but right now players are feeling the burnout. PSO2 New Genesis has tens of thousands of active players logged in at any given moment, and well over 150,000 players playing over the course of the last month. Although this definitely might change in the future, as the game is still very new, having just launched in the last 2 months. At number 6 is RuneScape, and I know, but Sticks, RuneScape has so many bots, it shouldn't be nearly as high in the list as it is. And you're right, it does have a lot of bots, nobody is here to argue that. But the fact of the matter is, it still dwarfs every other MMO listed prior to it. Although I am including both RuneScape and old school RuneScape for some of you wondering, as I always do. And I'd like to note that old school RuneScape has quite a few more players than its less popular cousin. RuneScape is a tab target MMO released so long ago, I don't believe I was even out of school at the time. Yet it has retained immense popularity over decades of remaining online. It's absolutely enormous, both in terms of the world and the content that you'll find within it. Yes, if you've never played the game before, you're probably going to assume it looks fairly subpar, but you know what? That is part of its charm. This game has so many varied types of content to participate in that playing anything else almost feels like you're playing a cheap knockoff. As of this very moment, there are over 102,000 players actively logged in, with RuneScape averaging well over 300,000 active players every month. At number 5 is The Elder Scrolls Online. Earlier this year, ESO was interestingly in 3rd place, but has dropped down 2 spots due to the absence of general interest in the game, I guess, for lack of a better word. The Elder Scrolls Online is a large open-world action MMORPG. This game easily has some of the most diverse open class systems I've ever experienced, while the other games in this list provide you the option of doing things like swapping between a few different weapons, ESO goes above and beyond. You can be a mage running around in heavy armor using 2 one-handed daggers to stab people from the shadows. Yeah, and while you wouldn't really see many people playing that way, as it would no doubt put you at a severe disadvantage, it's freedom like that that really allows The Elder Scrolls Online to stand out. Graphically, the game looks really good. The combat, however, is definitely a topic of contention, as there is a lot of very differing opinions pertaining to whether it is good or if it's bad, but suffice it to say, the game overall makes up for any aspects that are otherwise less than stellar, including the fantastic narrative. The Elder Scrolls Online is averaging approximately 300 to 400,000 players every month still. At number 4 is Black Desert Online. Typically, Black Desert Online has always been in the top 10 most populated MMOs, but it's never broken into the top 5. Until now, that is, as it was confirmed that the MMO has seen a large spike of over 300% in terms of active players recently. While it's impossible to get a 100% accurate number from that reveal, it's worth noting that Pearl Abyss claimed last year that they had upwards of 150,000 active players. Earlier this year, they claimed that they had seen a 200% increase in active players after Pearl Abyss acquired publishing rights back for the game. If the game lost tens of thousands of active players, then it doubled that number. We're looking at roughly 200,000 active players earlier this year. And if we lost more of those players over the course of 2021, which happens naturally, the 300% increase likely brings us to anywhere between 400,000 to 500,000 active players players per month right now. This is largely in part due to the fact that they just released a brand new Corsair class and have revealed that they're working on introducing PvE content like dungeons and raids into the game, bringing player excitement to an all new level. Now, Black Desert Online is arguably one of, if not the crown king of the action combat genre. It is generally considered to have set the standard for action combat and is probably one of the best looking MMOs on the market, and has been ever since it released years ago. At number 3 is something that I bet you guys never anticipated ever seeing, Albion Online. This is a sandbox MMO that took a lot of inspiration from RUNESCAPE, especially with how much emphasis is put on crafting. As this is a sandbox MMO, you can bet there is a metric ton of freedom to play how you want. I've honestly never dedicated much time to the game, as I'd always thought that it was going to dry up and players were just going to move on relatively quickly, but this is one of those rare instances where I was very happy to be proven wrong. The game utilizes a point and click combat style, meaning that there's no real way of cycling through enemies with the tab key, and no way of attacking enemies freely with an action system. Honestly, this is the only game in the entire list that utilizes this combat system, making it a rarity. The game is quite minimalistic aesthetically. There really isn't much to set it apart from its competition graphically, but some of the best games are the most basic looking ones, right? Good graphics do not make a good game. South Korea is proof of that. As of June 2021, the team behind Albion Online set concurrency records with over 270,000 players being logged into the game at any given time, bringing the game up to a total of over 600,000 active players in the last month alone. This was of course largely in part due to the release of Albion Online on mobile devices, so realistically that will definitely lower over time. At number 2, and I know there are going to be probably quite a few of you that take a lot of offense to this, but I guarantee you were not expecting this. World of Warcraft. This has held the title of the most played MMORPG for well over a decade. It has been the king of the MMORPG genre ever since it released so many years ago. But you know what?
No king rules forever, my son.
WoW recently lost its crown, which honestly people have seen coming for a little while now. WoW's population has been in a state of decline ever since Warlords of Draenor showed just how disconnected Actiblizz are from their community. Yes, WoW has what is arguably one of the most fluid tab target combat systems currently in place, a narrative that spawns more expansions than almost any other MMO, and a world larger than almost any other game to date. But they are just so out of touch with what their players want. WoW, to me personally, will always be one of my favorite MMOs. It is a game that I've had an active subscription to since Wrath of the Lich King. It's a game that I have always just found myself coming back to. But seeing WoW Classic pulling in approximately 200,000 active players, and then the live WoW service struggling to pull in over 1 million active players per month is just a really depressing state to see the game in. Now, I know what WoW fans are thinking once again. There's no way that Final Fantasy XIV is more popular than World of Warcraft, but as of the last 3 months, I would argue that it most definitely is. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the only MMORPGs capable of retaining a pay-to-play business model. It is a stunning tab-target MMO that offers players the best narrative in an MMO. Yes, you'll hear that the base game is a chore to get through, but like any JRPG, they always are. This game is absolutely enormous. The zones you can move through when following the story are probably larger than they really have any need to be. The dungeons, the raids, everything about this game is stunning. The fact that you can play every single class on a single character by swapping weapons and soul crystals at any moment provides you just so much freedom to play whatever you want, whenever you want to. But most importantly, there has been a mass exodus of WoW players, in part due to a portion of the largest streamers moving from WoW to Final Fantasy XIV that has drastically altered the player base. We have seen player numbers hit all-time highs, higher than they were during Shadowbringers launch, which were confirmed to have over 1.2 million active players playing at the time. With this knowledge, and the knowledge that players can now play the free trial all the way up to the end of Heavensward, you can bet that there are most definitely well over 1.2 million active monthly players right now. And that is it. They are the 10 most played MMORPGs of 2021, from least played to most played. Again, just because these 10 different MMOs are the 10 most played does not necessarily mean they are the greatest MMOs on the market. That just means that more people are playing them for whatever reason. This will of course very likely change towards the end of 2021, where we'll go ahead and recap where the general population is shifting to with the release of games like New World, Lost Ark, Elyon, New Genesis's new content updates, Swords of Legends Online, which actually just launched yesterday, Tower of Fantasy, and so many other MMOs. I'll see you guys then.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it. Ooh,